Due diligence. Boring, right? Wrong. What's going on? I'm Hans Struzyna with the Gunderman Group, and today I wanted to share some tips, tricks, and a bit of a checklist for you to do due diligence on your real estate transaction here in the Bay Area. Because I can tell you for a fact that it is very different here than every other market because we transact as is. And I'm gonna get into that and what that means. And when you get some value out of this video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, because I'm gonna continue to put out weekly content like this and you are not gonna wanna miss it. So let's get into this. So what is due diligence? Simply, it's inspections. It's understanding the things that affect the desirability or the value of a property relative to its condition, its location, and all of the good stuff that go along with owning a home. Now, why in the intro was I talking about a house here being different and the process being different than many other parts of the country? Well, simply, our market is as is, which means buyers are often writing non-contingent offers and not doing inspections during escrow. What? Yeah, I know, it's kind of crazy and most people would freak out about that, but before you do, let me explain to you how this works. So it has been the culture here for many years for sellers to do inspections up front, give those inspections to a buyer, and then have the buyer bake the price or bake the repairs needed into their price and take it all subject to all of that work that needed to be done. Why would somebody do that? Well, number one, the seller wants a more sure deal, because if you enter into escrow for $1 million, but someone has an inspection contingency, they could go shred you apart on every little thing and take you all the way down to some unreasonable price, and then you got to start the whole process over again. So simply, it's a way for the seller to disclose up front to the buyer what's going on with the house, what they need to know to inform them of what the value should be, and so they can make a better offer up front and have a more solid deal in escrow. So that's all nice and good for the seller, but it also requires the buyer to do a lot of homework up front and understand a number of things. So here's a quick list of things you need to know. Number one, what was disclosed? At a very bare minimum, whether you're a seller or a buyer, you should expect to do the following things. A home inspection, general home inspection, definitely needed, and what's called a pest inspection. What I'm talking about is a pest or wood destroying organisms inspection, which basically looks at all the wood members in the house and determines if there are termites, if there's dry rot, if there's mold, if there's water intrusion, any of that kind of stuff that would negatively impact the wood. And then they will quote those repairs or those items, and then they'll give you a number of what they think it would cost to repair. There's a caveat, which is a lot of those companies end up subbing that work out, so that work ends up being quoted at a higher number than you could get it done elsewhere, but that's another conversation for another video. But just know you need both of those. You also need the TDS and the SPQ, the Real Estate Transfer Disclosure Statement and the Seller Property Questionnaire. These are two statutory requirements for any seller who is living in the property to fill out and answer to the best of their knowledge. This is the direct information that the seller is going to give you as a buyer, or if you're the seller, that you're required to give in order to sell the property and give someone the full picture of what's going on there. So you need to make sure those are filled out. Every question is answered. They're all pretty much yes, no's, and that the answers to the yeses are sufficient, right? Additionally, you're going to want to see something called the East Bay Purchase Agreement Addendum. Now, those are the responsibility and the status of the point of sale ordinances. A lot of people know, for example, the sewer lateral ordinance. If it's not in compliance, it has to be done at either close of escrow by the seller, or it's often deferred for 6 months onto the buyer's side of the deal. So you always want to make sure you understand that. And then additionally, once you've worked your way through those documents, you should look at any supplemental reports, any roof, chimney, foundation, HVAC reports that are available or were called out by some of those earlier pest or home inspectors. You should also look for what's called the natural hazard report, which shows you where the fault lines are, where the flood zones are, where the lust sites, leaking underground storage tanks, etc., those types of things, and make sure you understand what's around you, what's near you, what your house is situated on, what's above, below, etc. That will give you a good sense of it. And then of course there are, based on the location, presence of an HOA, CC&Rs, different preliminary title report, easements, etc. That will give you the remaining bulk of your inspection reports. So that's a lot of stuff, right? And so at a very high level, what I would recommend if you're reading some of this stuff is to start with those first 5 documents that I started with, meaning the home, the pest inspection, the 2 seller disclosures, and the East Bay purchase agreement addendum. If you get through those documents first and you feel comfortable about the condition and what's being disclosed, you can then go dig into some of those other more dense, longer documents to make sure that there are no hidden things in the fine print, right? So that was the first tip, is start with those 5 documents. If those pass the sniff test, if you feel good about those, go to the next one. But before you really give this your final stamp of approval, here's something you absolutely need to understand, you and your agent both need to feel really, really, really good about, which is who did the inspections, okay? Not every inspection company is created equal. For example, if you have an inspector that's from Livermore who's looking at a house in Alameda, that may or may not be a red flag. And vice versa, if you have a San Francisco inspector coming over to Berkeley, that may or may not be a red flag. So what you're really looking for is to find out who did it, how reputable they are, and how often they inspect in that neighborhood or that geography, right? Your agent should be able to point you in the right direction on this, so make sure you absolutely talk to them. And if you're a seller, please do not order any inspections until you talk to your agent to verify you know what you're talking about. Because the one thing that trips buyers agents out the most is when they don't know the brand or the name of the inspector, and they're used to seeing Buyer Protection Group or Ian's Inspections or whatever it is in a certain geography, and then they see something they've never seen before. It's a different format, it freaks them out, and it gives them a lower confidence rating to endorse that to their seller or to their buyer. And as a result, that buyer might feel a little bit hesitant to write you a really, really big offer. So those things seriously matter. So make sure you're picking up on who the right and best inspectors are for your geography and your neighborhood, and that they have a track record there as well. And finally, which is something I mentioned earlier, do not just skim through the action items and say, oh, these are the 5 things I need to take care of. Go through all the consideration items, go through the section 2 items, look at the secondary, tertiary items or consideration things that they pointed out, because in there you might find some really important details that you can cross-reference with the seller reports and say, oh, we might need to do a secondary inspection on the roof, or we might need to do test holes or something, because those things, while they get marked in a certain way on those reports, may end up being worth $10, $20, $30, $50,000 in a lot of cases, and you absolutely do not want to miss those things. So make sure you're taking your time and you're going through it, especially when you found a property that you think you're very excited about. That's an hour or 2 of effort and education that you will be so thankful that you went through. So hopefully you got some value out of that, and if you did, give that like button a smash and subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to continue to put out weekly content just like this, and you're not going to want to miss it. So without any further ado, this is Hans Struzyna with the Gunderman Group at Keller Williams Luxury International signing off for now. See you on the next one.